What's up, everybody? Welcome to the newest episode of the Debate Mates. I'm Matthew Swanberg, and I am honored to be joined once again by the man, the myth, the legend. Some say he's the greatest to ever debate, Nathan Popper.
It's arguable. Hey guys, what's going on? I'm honored to be here.
So
By your side.
it's been quite the hiatus for the two of us. We haven't
Yeah.
debated in quite some time, but not to fear, we're back, and we're going to be here for the rest of the season and the off
I
season.
mean, to be fair, we're very cool and popular people. So
Exactly. But of course, the debate mates are the top priority.
Of course.
Informing the fans.
Of course.
So, as I was saying, we took a bit of a break. We were out and about, off for a little while, but we'll be back here now, trying to stay consistent once a week, just pumping out new vids for you guys and talking about the NBA. It's what we love to do. Make sure you guys like this video, comment, share, subscribe. Let's beat the YouTube algorithm. Get those views up, get those numbers up. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Debate Mates. And without further ado, we have a fun video planned today. We always have fun video planned.
Yeah.
But today it's especially fun. Because we're so far into the season, about 12 games for most teams, it would be too much for us to go back and look at every game from every team and dissect them all. So we're going to look big picture instead. We are going to open up the Tier Maker website, a website that we all know pretty well. It's become pretty popular in recent years. Mm-hmm. And we're going to rank 16 teams, the top 16 teams, based off of how we think they'll do in the postseason, from our title favorite down to teams that have a chance. Yeah. So without further ado, let's get to ranking. All right, so back here on tiermaker.com, getting ready to rank these teams. Like I said, we're going to do 16 teams. 16 teams make the playoffs, and just makes sense. So let's get started here. We might interpret these tiers a little differently. We're going to start with the S tier. And Nate, I think we both agree that there's only one team that deserves to be in the S tier.
Only one team that is that complete and that lethal, and that is the Milwaukee Bucks, without question. I think our super early title favorites already.
For sure.
I mean, they are just a complete team. They can do anything, and they've been able to do anything for the past how many years? And like the only reason they're not consistently champions is either somehow injuries like Chris Middleton last year. If Chris Middleton doesn't go down last year, they're probably the favorite to come out of the East pretty easily over my Celtics. But I mean, they can shoot. I mean, they're great on the defensive side of the ball. They can pass. There's good ball movement. And Budenholzer, I don't absolutely love him, but he's a good enough coach to get the job done, as we've seen him win a championship. And he can very well win another one.
You know what's crazy? Of course, as a Kevin Durant fan, I have to bring this up. But really, that shot that he made that was decided to be a 2 instead of a 3. If that goes in, Mike Budenholzer is probably fired because he never gets the job done in Milwaukee, and they had flamed out the year before in the bubble. And we're talking about this team a completely different way. If Giannis is still there, if they've blown it completely up. So it's just such a crazy turn of events that because that one shot, and of course there are other events that lead up to it. This is an oversimplification of the last few years for the Bucks, but just one moment goes differently. And we're talking about a completely different league. But because that it happened as it happened, the Bucks still 2 years later, I guess, are the best team by far in the NBA. It doesn't really matter right now who they're rolling out onto the court. The Thunder have been extremely competitive. So I don't want people to scoff at their last game and say, oh, well, they didn't have Giannis. They beat the Thunder. Thunder are still a really good team this year. They're putting up good fights against teams like the Mavericks, beating them, and the Nuggets, playing them pretty close. And just random guys, Jevion Carter. Bobby Portis had a 21 rebound game. Brook Lopez, if they had him all of last year, I think they're the 1 seed. He just brings such a high level of defense to the team that no one else on that roster can replicate because of his shot blocking ability.
And he's also just a very dependable player when he's actually on the floor, So a lot of guys on there. So it's a very deep roster.
I don't recall them ever being this deep.
Yeah, no, this is nuts. And I mean, shout out Jevion Carter getting 36. Absolutely crazy.
And it doesn't feel like they've turned it on. It feels like they're still kind of sleepwalking through this season. Like, it doesn't feel, you'll say, I think the Bucks will be the 3 seed because they're not really going to try. It feels like they're the 1 seed. They're 10-1, and they're still not really trying. And they still don't have Middleton. And it's not like a thing with the Clippers or with the Mavericks where you're saying you're worried because you have to integrate this offensive player. I feel like the Bucks, they don't have to integrate Middleton. They get to integrate Middleton because they've already had him. He's comfortable playing with Giannis, playing with Brook and Drew Holiday. They're comfortable with him. This team is going to be hard to beat. So that's why for both of us, they have to be in the S tier.
Yeah, they are the best team in the league for sure.
So moving on to the A tier, which for me I just describe as legitimate contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, as it stands today, they are legit contenders. They don't need to figure anything out. They don't need to make a final trade or get a different coach. Right now, as their roster sits, they're good to go.
They're genuine title contenders.
So would you like to start? We'll go back and forth and see how many teams we agree on, and I'll move them in if we're the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm gonna start with an easy one. Even though I've seen with the change in coaching, there's a little bit less defensive intensity. I still think my Celtics are an A tier team.
Gotta be.
Still a contending team, man. Tatum is playing out of his mind right now.
Yep.
Absolutely nuts. Brown's good. I've liked Brogdon's production. He's been really nice off the bench. Marcus Smart's doing his thing. I believe they're already posting he's early defensive player of the year candidate again.
And there he is.
And
even though OG Anunoby is having one of the best defensive seasons of all time as far as steals go, but I digress.
I mean, yeah, it's just Sam Hauser's come in and kind of played that has become that nice honestly a Danilo Gallinari replacement. I believe right now he's shooting about 54%.
He's unstoppable.
Yeah, he's come in out of nowhere and he's really filled in that role. That's that sharp shooter that we desperately need off the bench. And then
Al Horford, Luke Kornet defending 3-pointers from under the rim
twice, wasn't it? Twice.
It's his go-to move.
Like 2 different games. Oh my god! And then yeah, I've never really cared for Grant Williams, but there are times when his production is very well noticeable. So I can't hate on him, but so much.
Right.
But I'll still find ways.
And they still need Grant Williams. I mean, they don't need Grant Williams back. They look fine without him.
Yeah, I mean, but he'll get integrated. And he's nice, and he'll hit his threes, or he'll not and be super inconsistent, and then he'll make me mad. But and then Horford seems to be defying age, 36 years old.
Now, before I move on to the team I'm going to put in the A tier, assuming you agree. Do you have a reason why they're not in the S tier? Something they need to be in the S tier, or is it just the Bucks are that good?
I do believe. I think the Bucks are just. I think it's both. Honestly, the Bucks are just that good, but also with
maybe
Joe,
if you traded for Kevin Durant,
maybe possibly if we just traded everybody for just. Oh my God! With the Rudy Gobert trade, I don't even want to know. Trade system. 8 players and 6 picks, but I digress. I think Joe Mazzulla is doing a fine job, but to me, there's something. The defense is not there. The offense looks really
number
crisp.
1 offensive rating.
Yeah, the offense looks crisp, which is something that usually I'm like, offense is struggling, defense is carrying. Right now, the defense is kind of struggling. I was watching that Grizzlies game, and there were a couple solid leads we had that went away like that, and I just didn't like what I saw. I didn't like assignments, and I didn't like people were getting lost in the sauce, so to speak. They were just getting turned around 360 with I feel like wide open people in that game, and it was making me upset.
One good thing that you alluded to is because that defense always is a fixture in the Celtics, I feel like we can feel confident that it will come back at some point.
Yeah.
The offense to start strong and stay strong is a good sign because that's what comes.
That's usually what's shaky every year.
So if you got that, then the defense is going to come around, I think.
Yeah, I do think the Celtics at this point are the biggest contender to the Bucks. They're the biggest threat,
right?
I think personally, and always good series.
I might disagree with you.
Ooh, okay.
As I add in next team, if it weren't for this team, if Boston had a different team on the schedule these other 2 games, they might easily be 10-1. But unfortunately, they had to play the revamped Cleveland Cavaliers.
I knew that was who it was.
Who would have thought the Cleveland Cavaliers would probably be my 3rd or 2nd pick to win a championship right now? They look incredible. I didn't say Donovan Mitchell was a top 25 player after last season.
Averaging about 31 right now.
He didn't look good on defense, and his offense hadn't improved, at least much. And this year, he looks like a top 15 player. He's closer to top 10, top 15 than
right now. He is averaging. He's averaging about 32, 4, and 6.
Yeah,
and he's just looked. And I know you didn't have much faith in Donovan Mitchell like me and Coach Z
man.
Because Z man, we were a little higher, and he's proving why this system really works. That's why this trade I was really excited about, even though it's a legitimate threat, and they look like legitimate threats at points last year too. And they add him, and he's just been absolutely spectacular. I mean, him and Karis LeVert combining for 82 freaking points. He's deadly on this team.
Karis LeVert scored 1 point the next game. But I mean, if you take out that first game where Darius Garland got poked in the eye and was hurt, they're 8-2. And the last game was a sneaky loss to the Kings.
No, they do make me nervous. This is a team that I could legitimately see possibly knocking us out, making it to the actual Eastern Conference Finals.
They have incredible depth. They don't have the same reliable depth as Boston. Dean Wade has had some great games. Kevin Love he's one of the reliable.
He's a little shaky
options.
from 3 this season. It looks like, which is a little uncharacteristic.
Karis LeVert is going to be very up and down, but you got Jared Allen. You have why am I blanking on the name? Mobley.
Yeah,
Evan
that
Mobley.
that starting five is absolutely monstrous.
And if that front line goes up against the Bucks in the first round, or not the first round, second round, conference finals, whenever, I think Giannis is going to be a little frightened.
Well, yeah, now he's got two. I believe they're both about what 6'11". Like he's going to have legitimate paint presence. Two of them to have to actually get past.
They have a
So,
phenomenal paint duo. They have one of the best backcourts in the league. And you can
absolutely.
slide in Okoro, who's a defensive-minded guy. If you want scoring, you go Levert. You want three-point shooting, you go Dean Wade or Kevin Love. They are just so deep right now.
Yeah,
They have like everything I think you need to win a championship. So I got to include them there.
Yeah,
and I assume you don't disagree.
Absolutely. They're who I was going to say next, actually. So yeah, they're a very fun team to watch. Even when they were beating my Celtics, I was enjoying
those
watching
were two
them
classic
play.
Games.
Yeah,
double
those
OTs. Or not double OT, well, double OT, and that they both went to OT.
Hey, the Celtic Cavalier rivalry's been revived.
Yeah. So we got any other teams we're putting in the A tier? I got two more. If you have. Okay, I'm gonna step in here, and I'm gonna say I think the Phoenix Suns deserve to be in the A tier.
Okay. I don't disagree with that. And I told you, we know what they are. They are a regular season team. I don't know if necessarily this is in postseason. I'm not mad at this. But they're looking good. I told you, man. They're gonna be one in these in these standings by the end of the freaking season.
And to round it out, I got to put the Denver Nuggets in my A tier. The Nuggets are a very quiet 8-3. They're leading the league in field goal percentage and in 3-point percentage, shooting over 50 from the field and over 40 from the three. Of course, you're always going to be able to contend when you have Jokic. Then you get Jamal Murray back. You got Bruce Brown. You got Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. They just have so many weapons right now. I just think they're going to be a tough team to beat this whole season, and then come playoff time. And then the Suns, also 8-3 right now. I don't feel like I have to defend that pick very much. It's going to be interesting to see if they move with a little bit more urgency with Jay Crowder, now that Cam Johnson is down
6 to 8 weeks, I believe.
Right.
So
with I believe the ACL injury. I know it was a knee injury.
I thought it was a meniscus.
I think you're right on the meniscus. But yeah, now that Cam Johnson is out, it's going to be interesting to see if they move with any more quickness on Jay Crowder, because he doesn't want to play for them at all. He
does not want to be there.
Yeah, so that will be interesting to see if they falter a little bit. But Cam Johnson will be back come playoff time. He'll be back well before that. So I got to include this as my A tier. Phoenix and Denver for me got to be in there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely agree with Denver, and you know what? Yeah, I'm not mad at Phoenix, and I told you, man, Phoenix still has pieces, even though last year went abysmally in the postseason. They're still a team. D-Book's still dropping. I think he's dropping like 28 right now. CP3 is still declining statistically. I believe he's averaging about 9 points right now. But man, his presence enough is still enough to push them in and make them this really good regular season team. So I actually like both of these picks. See, I know their record is awful.
Oh, you want to put the Warriors?
Yes, but I still think they get it fixed, because this is still an incredibly deep team, and it's, even though they've had struggles, primarily I've seen struggles with Wiseman and Kuminga this season.
The starting five is still Wiseman. Elite.
Yeah, and I think they do figure out their problems. They have an elite head coach.
Yep.
You know, it is still a deep team. It's still a really well coached team, good personnel. You know, so I want to put them in A. Even with the struggles, but maybe they slip to a B right now. I don't know.
I have them in my B tier because I have that tier labeled. Could be legit, but need to figure it out. Because if the playoffs started today, you threw these teams into the playoffs. I don't know how the Warriors would fare. They have that elite starting five, that death lineup, which is still maybe the best 5-man lineup in the entire league. But those bench guys, even Jordan Poole's having an off season.
Kuminga. He's flashed moments, but overall, I think he's struggling.
He's not having the season people.
Clay, I think, is struggling a bit too.
Clay is struggling.
So right now, a lot of the load is falling on Steph Curry.
And, so that's why I have them in my B tier.
Yeah, I get that, and I mean, like, if after seeing what the Celtics did, they could very well turn it around by the time playoffs come. Anything's possible.
By the time the season ends, they could very well be right here next to the Bucks. Yeah. But as of today, I gotta say they are not looking as good as any of those teams above them.
I agree with you. Yeah, I definitely think that we don't need to worry about the record at this moment in the first 13 games.
Right.
I think they do.
They're 4-7 right now.
Yeah, I think they get it together. But yeah, I think B is a good spot for them right now. Don't hate on us, Warrior fans, in the comments.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine come March.
You're still an incredible team. Just some things, like Matt said, you need to figure out. There's some things that there needs to be some gelling that happens, and people need to step up.
That they normally play. The defense is taking a step back.
I mean, I saw some concerning moments when they were playing teams like Orlando
Yeah,
and Sacramento.
and going down to
You
the
know,
wire.
yeah. So
Kevin Herter got fouled on that three, by the way, to end that Kings
absolutely. Oh my
Warriors
God.
game.
Yeah, no, he
Hand
was 100%
Klay Thompson had
fouled.
a hand on his side and a hand on his elbow,
Yeah,
but
they 100%
refs
got away with
swallowed the
that one.
whistle. Moving on with our B team, that's lost to the Hornets, not good, and the Pistons, not good. Those are three teams: Pistons, Hornets, Kings, and Magic. So four teams that I don't think you're going to see in our top 16.
Mm-hmm.
So those are four bad teams to lose to. Moving on in the B tier, I don't know how many teams you put in here, but I put three, including the Los Angeles Clippers,
Ooh, this is interesting.
who are a surprising 7-5 right now. They started off really bad. Paul George said after the Pelicans game, which was like a 20-point blowout loss, he said, if this team's going to be good, I need to step up. I put a
And
lot
he
of,
has.
and he has, and they're 7-5 now.
Yep, he's averaging about 24 and a half and 6 at this current moment. He's really looking like the Paul
And
George
he's
of
been
old.
able to
He's
take
really
over,
stepping
playing
up.
some of the best basketball of his
Mm-hmm.
career right now.
And I think I like the move of trying to ingratiate Kawhi Leonard a bit off the bench into it a little bit more.
Ingratiate.
Ingratiate, you like that word?
I like that word.
You like that SAT word right
Very
there?
good.
Yeah,
Very
take
good.
it slow because with a man that's known for these injuries, like maybe other teams should try to have tried to ingratiate Boogie Cousins as much as they're trying to ingratiate.
The way they are ingratiating Kawhi into the lineup right now is a little concerning because I definitely think there's stuff we don't know. This injury has to be worse than they're letting on. Otherwise, why would you have him sit for this long? You need him in there just to get the chemistry right with all these new players. I mean, he's not shared the court very much with guys like Luke Kennard, Norm Powell. Even though they've been on the roster together for 3 years now, he's not really shared the court much with Zubac or Paul George either. So I feel like any opportunity you can get to put him on the floor, even if you only feel comfortable playing him for 8 minutes, you take. So the fact that they're going against that and sitting him repeatedly, and it's not a thing where it's like, he's out tonight, we're going to reevaluate him tomorrow, and he'll probably be good. It's like, okay, he's not even going to travel with us on this road trip. Like, he's not close.
Yeah, I can see why you'd be concerned.
That's a little
that.
scary. So I feel like there's something there that's not being told, but the fact that they are 7-5, and the fact that in theory, one day, hopefully soon, Kawhi Leonard will be in a Clippers jersey on a basketball court.
Yeah, I'd like to see it in that new city.
That's why I have them there. They need to figure it out. They could be legit. They could be another S tier team, but they need to figure it out.
Yeah, see, the last couple years, they've just been a team that struggled with injuries that should have been a legit contender every single time.
Yeah.
That team is really nice. Like that is a really nice and fairly well coached. I think Tyronn Lue does an okay job, coaching that team. I think he's good. He's a good fit for that team. So yeah. So I get you. There's some things the Clippers need to figure out.
Do we feel comfortable having them in the B tier?
Yeah, I'll put them in B tier.
Do you have any other teams? Because I have one more.
I think I might want to put Atlanta in the B tier.
Really?
Mm-hmm. How low do you have Atlanta?
I have Atlanta in my D tier.
Oh, wow. Ooh. Can we compromise and put them in C?
We can compromise and put them in C. But before we get to C, I want to talk to you about my B team.
Put your other B in there.
Well, I'm not going to put them in. You've got to see if we agree. I got Philadelphia.
So you're a little – I mean, I'm not mad at it. I think you're a little higher on the Sixers than I am. Harden's out for what, about a month?
Yeah.
And he's going to come back.
He was playing great ball before that.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey's been playing great. Joel Embiid was sick for a little bit.
Tyrese Maxey's has having himself a year.
The only thing that's holding them back right now is Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
Not knowing how to coach and do lineups. So if you want to put him in the C tier for that reason, I'm comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I think so. And also like this month that Harden's out, I just got to say Toby needs to step up.
Yes.
Toby has not been stepping up. I keep trying to defend you, Tobias Harris, but you're just not stepping it up and doing the job we need you to do. You're a good player. It's just not going. So I think I'd rather put them in the C tier.
Okay. Honestly. We'll put them in the C tier, and they will go in the C tier with your Atlanta Hawks. The C tier.
This is one of the deadliest backcourts in the league.
The C tier I have labeled as would be a fun story, but it's still possible. And I had the Hawks a tier below that at 7-4,
which is fine. I wasn't super high on the Hawks, but I've started watching a little bit more, and there's something about this team that I really like. Besides the dangerous backcourt, I believe they're both averaging 20 plus and like 7 assists each.
Jonathan Murray's looked really good.
And like the only concern of mine really with this team is to me is like Clint Capella. Like Clint Capella is like good enough to get the job done, but like I think I'd like to see Onyeka get a little more time because they're making us think they want him as that franchise center, and they're trying to. And I just like to see that transition a
He
little
just
more.
doesn't have the height of Capella,
Yeah.
which is why they keep going to Capella.
Also,
I agree.
not to pick on DeAndre Hunter, but he has not progressed as much as I would have liked.
As much as Kevin Huerter has.
Yeah, exactly. Kevin Huerter is having a career year. I believe all career highs in Sacktown, which is crazy. I remember when that trade happened. I was like, oh, that's a weird one. But yeah, no, DeAndre Hunter, like, I don't know. I feel like coming in, he had his potential. He's just not meeting his potential is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Like I think he's kind of stagnated to an extent. Like this might be what DeAndre Hunter is. And like I don't know if that helps Atlanta become. I mean, I don't think Atlanta with him and then Capella still getting as many minutes, I don't think they're a real contending team. But they're still they still have flashed some greatness, some things to look forward to, and for Atlanta fans to be hopeful for. So I think C tier is fine for them.
Really. Okay. I'll stay with that. I'll agree with that one. I do think the 76ers are better though. I'll keep them in the C tier.
I think the 76ers are better, but I still think they're the same tier. I agree with that.
The C tier was my biggest tier. And some other teams in the C tier that I have, or I'll just go one at a time. A team that recently played Atlanta that probably would have beaten Atlanta had Larry Nance Jr. not blown a tire and missed a wide open finger roll. I have the Pelicans here.
Larry Nance, what are you still doing in the league, bro?
I have the Pelicans here because like my title says, it would be a fun story and it's possible. The Pelicans, come playoff time, are going to be one of the deepest teams in the league. Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram, Zion, CJ, Jonas Valanciunas is one of the most legit centers in the league right now, I think. Trey Murphy is one of the best shooters in the league right now. Jose Alvarado.
This team is a fun team.
Hayes.
And I think I read a quote about this team that this seems like more true than anything. It said this team's record does not reflect how well this team's played ball so far and how good they are. Yeah. This is a very, very, very good team, very young, athletic, just fun team to watch. We were both, when we were doing our rankings before this, we had them pretty high, you know, making the top 8, you know, along with a couple other teams. I don't know. There's just something really Zion's looked like he's played really nice alongside Ingram and McCollum. And
the numbers have been a little bit down, but
that's to be expected.
Right.
I mean, I think it is. Talent. With Brandon Ingram, who's consistently putting up 20 plus per season. CJ McCollum.
Yeah, that concussion kept him out forever, it felt like, at the beginning of the season. Played football out there. He just missed like 12 games, it felt like, with that concussion. Every time I turned the Pelicans on, he was out. But he's back now. And yeah, maybe they're not as good as Philadelphia. I think they are a little bit better than Atlanta. I think I would take, if that was a final series, I would pick the Pelicans.
I think I picked
Pelicans just because they're deeper and they just come in waves. You know, if someone gets in foul trouble, if Herb Jones gets in foul trouble, then you slide in Trey Murphy, you slide in Alvarado. They're just so deep.
This is a team I think competes seriously 2 to 3 years from now.
Yeah,
I think that's when we start to see these Pelicans make it up to A tier and actually compete to get into the Western Conference Finals, which I know they are capable of, and they have the talent to do it. Maybe just a piece or
they're
two.
They're one Atlanta Hawks type run away from making a conference final this year. I think they have that sort of run in them. That would be my sleeper Cinderella team to pick for this year's playoffs, to have that Hawks like run. Of course, I'm alluding to 2021 when the Hawks surprised.
Yes, the surprise is all. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Sorry.
Are you ready to move on to the next team, or do you want to talk about the Pels still?
We can talk about the Pels, but I'm ready to move on to the next team. If you want.
I think I have a team that deserves to be in this C. I argue putting them in B, but they really haven't gotten any better, and I think a lot of other teams in the West have, and that's the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies deserve to be a C tier team.
There's Memphis. I have Memphis in my C tier. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, I think Jaw's playing outstanding.
Surprising. A quiet 8-4.
Quiet 8-4. Desmond Bane was averaging, I think he was like my candidate for most improved player. Or did he win most improved?
That was last year.
He
was the guy. And
then I was trying to remember. Improved. But like he's gone from 7, we was like, oh wow, he went from like 9 points to 17. Now he's averaging 22, 23, 24.
A bona fide 20 point per game.
Yeah, I know. And that's another backcourt that I really enjoy. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a huge concern with his team. I don't know if I trust him health wise, and and then also I don't know. I don't necessarily like their bench all that much. Like what I mean?
That was our concern preseason.
Yeah, I don't, because I think John Conchar is getting solid minutes, and I'm no offense to John Conchar, but I don't.
Not a fan.
Not as big a fan of John Conchar getting significant minutes.
As you are of Jaren Jackson getting significant minutes.
And I had And also, I had higher hopes for Brandon Clark. I think he's been a little disappointing this
Yeah.
season too. Coming off the bench, I thought he's that punch that they needed, and he's a stud. And I think he's very much underperformed this season.
But they're going to control the boards against just about anybody.
Mhm.
They got Steven Adams down there. He's not going to let any little guys take the ball
Aquaman.
from him, like
You
you said
know,
in the
you know how
recent
much I
interview.
love Steven Adams.
And then you got getting flanked on the perimeter by Jaw, Desmond Bain. You got Dylan Brooks, who's still kicking out
yeah,
there.
he's still out there.
I bet they wish they had Anthony Melton instead of Danny Green, who is nothing, literally nothing right now. He can't play.
He shouldn't be playing, just like Larry Nance. No offense, Larry Nance.
This team is another team that's got potential to make noise come
Mhm.
playoff time, especially when they get Jaren Jackson Jr. back. So yeah, I feel comfortable with them being.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot. They have the potential to move up into B and A.
I agree.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
So now this is one of my final two teams in the C tier, a team which is very similar to the Grizzlies, maybe even a little deeper. But the way they're similar is they both are led by very good young players. Except this young player is not just very good.
Texas?
He's the best
Are
player in
the Texas.
He's the best player in the NBA.
If MVP was called right now, he's the clear MVP.
Don't take my word for
it.
But according to Hoops Hype Global Player Rankings, Luka Doncic is also the best player in the NBA. So now I got some backup with me. But the Mavericks, man, I could talk about the Mavericks all day long. So
big fan of the Mavericks.
The one bad thing about League Pass is I get incredibly locked into the Nets and the Mavericks. So I want to watch Kevin Durant and I want to watch
Are those
Luka.
two teams you picked at the beginning of the league? They'll let you pick like teams you're interested in watching?
No, if they're on, they're just the teams I watch the most. So I unfortunately haven't watched as much of some of the other teams that I've wanted to watch. I've still been making sure I'm keeping an eye on everybody. But I feel really comfortable talking about the Mavericks like I could talk about them for hours because I'm just glued to the TV.
So here's the thing. That's funny because this is one of the teams that I would say I've watched a lot of games, and this is one of the teams I think I've watched fewer games, even though I know what noise they're making.
Then allow me to explain.
Yes,
to you.
Yeah, please school me.
I even was locked in last night when they played Magic, and they didn't even have Banchero.
Hey man, Banchero, I love that man. Sorry, little aside, but go on.
But
they didn't even have him.
So, anyways, the Dallas Mavericks. 6-4 right now, maybe not the most impressive record in the NBA. But when you got Luka playing at the level he's playing at, it's like having LeBron James in his prime. You just feel like he can carry you against any team in a series, in a quarter, in a 5-minute crunch time stretch. He's just got that ability about him, where whether it's a step back three, getting to the line, which he's shot a lot better at the line this season than in seasons past, or kicking it out to the corner, to the wing for an open three with reliable shooters out there like Dorian Finney-Smith. Spencer Dinwiddie, I think, is having the best season of his career right now, watching him. Christian Wood has looked really good. Unfortunately, his minutes haven't been there for whatever reason.
He's still averaging a 15.6 and about 8 boards.
They've already gone away from JaVale McGee as the starting center. That didn't last very long, fair. But the teams were going at him at the center position. He was looking a little washed. So you got Dwight Powell back out there. You need to upgrade some spots. Reggie Bullock is not the best three-point shooter. I mean, he's a very good three-point shooter, but it's not falling right now with the consistency that you would hope from your starting small forward. But you just got to believe in a team that's led by what I believe to be the best player in the entire world.
I think the only thing for me that puts them, this is where I would have them, where I had them. I really wish they still had Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, of course.
That's the one thing I miss. That somewhat secondary ball handler, because I think Luka's low-key kind of missing that right now. But he's not showing me.
Yeah.
He's giving me – does he give you – maybe it's just me. Does he not give you James Harden 40 points per game vibes?
Like I feel like he does it in a different way, though.
In a different way. But you know what I'm saying? That just kind of like, oh, my God, this man's averaging – I mean, he's averaging 34 right now.
I feel
34,
like
8, and 8.
When James Harden –
like ridiculous.
When it was him in his prime, it was like, oh, yeah, he's going to shoot at this possession. Yeah, he's going to shoot a step-back three with this possession. With Luka, I think he's a little bit more unpredictable, which makes him more dangerous. And you're saying they're missing Jalen Brunson, but it's almost as if Luka was like, okay, I guess I'll just be Luka and Jalen Brunson now. Like, I'll just have both.
I'll pick up the slack.
I'll just have both of our production. And he's done it phenomenally. And Jalen Green is shooting, I don't know how far it dipped after last night, but up until last night, he was shooting 63% from three. You got a guy like that next to Luka, who's going to be open in the corner. Nightmare. So, but I can't have them in the B tier yet just because they are a little weak other than Luka and a few good glue guys like Finney-Smith, Hardaway Jr., etc. C tier, they got a chance to make a run. But yeah, that's as high as I can go with them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's where I would put them too. Them and the Grizzlies are like right there to me.
And I
think the low key, I think I'd take
I would take the Mavericks.
I think I'd take Mavericks over Grizzlies, just slightly. I think I would.
And I have one more team for the C tier.
Ooh,
This one might be a little out of left field for some.
what team could I see you putting in here? Maybe Toronto.
One for one,
It is
100%.
Toronto's look really
Raptors.
nice this year.
The 7-5 Toronto Raptors. It's kind of weird, but saying the 7-5
I
Toronto
know.
Raptors, it sounds like they're very impressive. But
And
saying the 6-4 Dallas Mavericks, even though it's the same,
say the fifth seed Toronto Raptors.
but I mean, even though it's the same amount of wins, or not the same amount of wins and losses, but 2 games over 500, it feels like 7-5 is so much better than 6-4.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Raptors' defense is incredible. Spicy P is out right now, but he's looking like Spicy MVP.
Mm-hmm.
He's been incredible. Best season of his career by far, looking like someone that could contend for a first team All NBA nod or another starting All Star game nod.
Not that far from averaging a triple double.
Not that far.
Statistically.
Yeah, OG Anunoby, who's killing it defensively, just mucking up absolutely everything. Any possession that he affects every single possession on defense right now.
Absolutely.
Scotty Barnes has taken another step. He looks really good. Hit 5 threes a couple nights ago. That was incredible. You're not expecting that from Scotty Barnes. And if he adds that to his game,
hey, add a 3 to his game. Kawhi vibes.
Kawhi, a little bit. Similar off the court too. Very quiet, very laid back. You got Fred VanVleet, who's still going to give you buckets. The crazy thing is, though, they've been looking like they don't really need him because he's the shortest guy, so he's the easiest to go out defensively.
Yeah.
And then Siakam and Scotty Barnes have become primary ball handlers, guys capable of initiating offense. So they've just looked incredible, I think. Their defense is so good. Nick Nurse is my favorite coach in the NBA. His defensive schemes are amazing. And I love Masai Ujiri. I love the way he crafts teams. If I were a general manager, I would want to make a team like how he makes the Raptors, where it's just a bunch of guys 6'7" to 6'9" to 6'10" if they're mobile enough, who can just switch around and just muck everything up, make every possession on defense a little dirty.
He makes teams that are very, very equipped and do very well in the modern game.
Yes.
Really, absolutely great job. That's just a good organization. You know what I mean? Some organizations
the Spurs of the East
are just it's just a solid organization from the ground up. Players, personnel, coaches, owners, things like that. It's just one of those like good organizations that you want to be a part of
and you want to root for.
Yeah, absolutely. As opposed to some other organizations that are questionable, like Phoenix has always been. I mean, even they're doing well, still has been a questionable organization.
Right.
But still, Toronto, I absolutely think. I definitely think Toronto has the potential to enter the B tier at some point in this season too.
I agree.
I think they can get that good, but that might be where I'm like.
And there's an elephant in the room. I don't have them in any of my tiers, so I'm going to bring them up. I don't have the Heat in any tiers. Do you agree or disagree with that?
See, I want to put them in because they've really struggled. They really have not looked like themselves, especially Jimmy Butler. I'm not impressed from what I've seen. And Bam just.
Can I say something about Jimmy Butler real quick? Jimmy Butler I like Jimmy Butler, but he has this attitude where it's like, you know who I am. I'm Jimmy Butler. Like, come on. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're Jimmy Butler. You made it to the finals once in the bubble, and a lot of people don't even count that. I counted. It was still basketball, still NBA basketball. But, like, you have not reached the point in your career or had the numbers or had the playoff accolades where you can be like, I'm Jimmy Butler. I'll average 19 points a game in the regular season. Who cares?
Well, I've never thought Jimmy Butler was that guy. No matter how good he gets, he's just not that guy.
But he carries around this attitude. Like, I can just sleepwalk through the regular season, and then I'll come into the postseason, and I'll be a top 10 player again. And it's like, it worked once. That 1 year in the bubble, it worked where you sleepwalk through the regular season, and then you had an incredible playoff run. Mm-hmm. But it certainly didn't work the year after that, where you got swept by the Bucks. And it didn't really work well the year after that either, where I think you put up a 6-piece in the conference finals against the Celtics. I don't know. So that his attitude just annoys me. He acts like he's going to sleepwalk through the regular season and then come in the playoffs and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm Jimmy Butler. This is easy. Let's come in and drop 30 and 10 real quick.
Yeah. It's
like Kevin Durant can be like that. Steph Curry can be like that because they've proven it.
It's hard.
Jimmy Butler cannot.
Because I definitely think they can still somehow make the playoffs. Like they'll gnaw and they'll scratch their way in.
Yeah.
So like I want to put them maybe in like the F tier. Like I want to say that, but I mean, if you don't have them on there, then like that's fine. I don't think they necessarily have to be on there. I'm struggling myself to just like I guess I'll put them in F.
Right.
I guess I'll put them in F.
Are we ready to move on to what I consider to be my favorite tier, the D tier?
Yeah, D tier. I'll go first.
Okay.
I have your Brooklyn Nets.
Okay, I actually had them F tier. So
really?
I will take it. I'll take the upgrade
I think
if I
this
can
team
get
is
them in there.
this team is surrounded by controversy every season with this whole. I told you, man. Kyrie can't stay. Kyrie can't stay out of trouble.
He's his own worst enemy. And that's all
I
I'm
still
gonna
don't
say
even know
about
the
it.
full extent. I know he was promoting a film that was like anti-Semitic, but I don't know what film and like what it was, like where it came from. To me, it just came out of left field. But I digress. This team is a mess in some regards. Ben Simmons absolutely freaking atrocious, like I thought he was going to be. 5 points, 6 boards, and 6 assists.
Triple single.
That is ridiculous. On like 28 to 29 minutes a game, that's ridiculous. Ben Simmons should be ashamed. Like he doesn't even look like that game against the Bucks. He didn't even look like he wanted to attempt to go anywhere near the paint.
Yeah.
It's like Giannis there, I'm staying away. And it's like with a guy that we've been criticizing doesn't really have any desire to make to improve his shot. Like, what are you gonna do if you're too scared to do the one thing you were good at, which is finishing and playing around the post? You're this 6'10" big guy who can't really do anything else.
Can I say something that made me very angry the other night? So I get you're coming off of an injury, another injury. But against the Mavericks, are you serious that Kevin Durant has to be the primary defender on Luka Doncic for this entire second half? Is that not what you brought Ben Simmons in to do, to be your perimeter stopper or your defensive stopper? But you're putting Kevin Durant on Luka the entire second half.
A couple of years ago, I was bashing him, and people would go, "Well, he's the best defensive player in the league."
He was for a time.
No, but where's that now?
It's completely
can't even
gone.
do that
Not even
right.
flashes of it. That's one thing. I think it was Mike Wilbon said, or Tony Kornheiser, someone on PTI, or I could be completely wrong. It could have been a different show. But they said the concerning thing about Ben Simmons is he hasn't even shown flashes. He hasn't even shown possessions where it's like, oh, that was a really good steal and a really good way to lead the fast break. He just needs to do a little bit more of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's like that is completely gone.
He's just
But as someone who, like I've said earlier, has watched a lot of Nets games, I feel comfortable to talk about why I think they are maybe a D or F tier.
I think
Kevin Durant is carrying them.
One thing I'd like to add, I think the reason I put them in the D tier is because of the hiring of the head coach,
Jacques Vaughn.
I think Jacques Vaughn gets their crap together. I really do.
I really liked last night. I saw the video this morning after the win last night where the vibe seemed good in the locker room. Kevin Durant went up. Gave him a hug, gave him the game ball. Players were clapping. I don't think they were doing that for Steve Nash.
Already a different vibe from Steve Nash.
So I'm happy to see that the team is coming together. Apparently, they're actually listening to scouting reports now, which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a little bit excited, perhaps cautiously optimistic for how this season goes for Brooklyn. As long as you got Kevin Durant, he's carrying them right now.
Yeah, and hopefully Kyrie is back at some point. Like LeBron posted, he's like, just let him play. Like, come on, let's get over it. But I don't know. I don't know if there've been any reports on when he's supposedly going to be coming back, or has he had his meeting?
It was a minimum 5-game suspension.
Okay, I didn't see that. I didn't know if he had his meeting with Adam Silver yet.
Well, he did, but still minimum 5-game suspension. That was set by the Nets.
Okay.
In my D tier, I have labeled as I have no choice but to believe. I have a choice to believe against the Nets because they're not doing very good, but I'm going to keep them there.
Who could you choose? Minnesota, maybe?
I have no choice but to believe in the Utah Jazz.
Okay, that's fair because
I have no choice. They're 10-3.
They're the clear surprise. Like nobody saw.
No other team other than the Bucks has more than 8 wins. Other than the Bucks and the Jazz have more than 8 wins. When
we did our video before the season, I think I put them like 14-15.
If the season ended today, Larry Markkanen is an all-star starter. Period.
He's playing out of his freaking
mind. And they just have such a good, you compare them to other teams like the Lakers, let's say. The Lakers have a far better 1-2 on paper. But you look 3 through 15, and the Jazz, like you wrote in your notes, they just have this hodgepodge of guys.
That's the word I would use. It's just a hodgepodge from the 2 trades, And I was like, oh, just a team of like Sexton and Markkanen, and
just these kind of misfits. Yeah, but they've come together and they've formed a really good team. They play for one another. They
like
play
seeing
hard.
Sexton play. Yeah, Markkanen just decided to play out of his mind. Jordan Clarkson stepped up a little bit. So yeah, this team, I mean, it's 10-3. Is it sustainable?
I anticipate a fall.
Yeah, that's why I think the D tier is perfect for them because it's going to be a fall off, potentially play-in team to maybe they sneak in and grab a 7 or 8 seed.
That would be a crazy story.
If the Utah Jazz, you know what? Hey, man, I'd be all for it. But yeah, that's the team that surprised me. I'm sitting there like, oh, absolutely, yeah. But I think
Talen Horton-Tucker dunking all over.
It's just funny that like the hodgepodge was the main reason for me saying they're going to be like the 15th seed, but it's really played to their advantage.
Instead, it's just shown how much depth they have.
Yeah, so it's absolutely out of left field, but we're here for it. I'm here for good basketball. no matter what. So you know what? A good job. Congrats to the Utah Jazz for these first 12 or how many games? 13 games they played.
And the other team I have in my, I have no choice but to believe here,
Do you have Blazers?
is the 8-3 Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah,
Same record as the Celtics and the Cavs and the Suns and the Nuggets.
See, like I really wish I had gone with you and put them over the Lakers because I like them. I think I had them one step behind the Lakers.
I put them over the Lakers. I think I put
the Lakers. Or do you put them over the Kings?
I'm pretty sure I penciled the Lakers in as my ninth.
Yeah, we both had Lakers, and that's right. I had Kings, and you had Portland, and you're looking more correct at this current moment. But honestly, I've liked the Kings. Just to say, I like what I've seen out of the Kings more than the Lakers because I've watched actually quite a bit of Laker games.
Unfortunate for you.
Yeah. So very unfortunate for me. This Trailblazer team, with Dame coming back, and Josh Hart is still looking good. Jeremy Grant, I think, is a really nice fit. Nurkic is still kicking around.
Yep.
The upside on Shade on Sharp, is pretty nice. Is pretty good. I like what I've seen out of this kid. They have a really interesting team. Overall, and this year I'm starting to lose a little faith on. But other than that, he's a solid bench piece. Like defensively, he's nice, but like offensively, again, another player that's just incredibly limited. The Zion stopper does not translate into the NBA as much as we thought it would.
Dame's playing well. Simons is playing well. Jeremy Grant is a game winner machine. Josh Hart, same thing.
Jeremy Grant just goes anywhere, plugs right in, and just performs well. I just love to see it.
They're just another team I don't think it's sustainable, but they look great right now.
They're a really fun team to watch too. I've watched a couple of their games. I really like what I've seen out of them. I've really liked what I've seen coaching wise out of Chauncey Billups in some regards too. Really enjoyed that. I 100% agree with that pick.
So we told you we'd rank 16 teams. Here you have it, 16 teams. Sorry to the Bulls who are.
You got any fringe teams? Like any teams that just missed out the cut?
The Bulls are a team that just missed out the cut. Mm-hmm. They're a team that's over 500, that's been playing pretty well to start the season, and at some point you would hope they get Lonzo Ball back. But I just don't see them having the talent or the depth as some of these other teams have.
Another team I want to put there is the Timberwolves, but I've seen a lot of problems.
They've had the worst 5-man.
Because I was reading and doing some research, and they are top 10 now with Gobert in defense. But have somehow plummeted. They have somehow plummeted to bottom 10 in offense. Absolutely. Ant looks incredibly frustrated.
Yeah,
he called out his team basically.
Well, he's been eating too much pop.
Yeah, and that floor spacing with Gobert we knew was going to be atrocious, and it's god awful. Yeah. It is awful. This is the problem.
And thanks to them, the Jazz are the D tier.
Yeah, that was another team.
Yeah.
Is there any other teams? Not really.
At the Lakers.
I don't know. The Knicks have shown me moments, but the Knicks are the Knicks, so I can't trust them.
The Lakers could maybe still do it. They could maybe sneak in there to the end here. I don't know.
Through these first 10, Anthony Davis has played 10 games, and he's averaging slightly better numbers than all 40 games. So he's playing better, but he's still not at the level that I think me and Z predicted he would be.
That I predicted.
But he's still playing solid, and Russell Westbrook has shown off the bench has shown a lot of good signs, a nice resurgence off that bench for him. And then again, it was kind of like with Malik Monk last year. Like Lonnie Walker has actually looked pretty nice for this team too.
I agree.
So and then LeBron's LeBron. Yep. Even though he's getting older, LeBron's LeBron. So
he's looked a little washed this year. A little more washed than normal. So I think we're gonna call it there. We got 16 teams ranked.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think of these rankings. We'll check back later in the season and see how we did, I guess.
Yep.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And until next time.
Bye, guys.